What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Project Bikerz. It's me, Schaefer. We're back working on the ZX600. It's just me at the shop today. We got in the new headlights and the tail light. So we're going to be installing those today, and hopefully the tank will be in by next week. Guys, a little bit of bad news. The headlight doesn't actually fit over the horn like we thought it was going to. So we're going to have to reroute the horn to a different location. So I'm not sure if we're going to use the paint like we talked about in the first video on this to make it a star. So the horn's pretty easy to take off. It just has two bolts, one here and one here. But this one's already missing, so all we have to do is take off this bolt. We're going to have to reinstall this bolt because it also holds up the brake lines for this bike. As you can see, you can move it around now. But the horn will go somewhere else. I'm not sure quite yet where, but we'll reinstall it. Oh, it actually looks like someone snapped off the other bolt. To reinstall this bolt here. Now we have it back reinstalled. To attach this headlight to the bike, what you need to do is it comes with these little rubber mounts, and this end, I don't know if you guys can see that well, this end sticks into the little hole at the bottom here. I already attached these three, but all it does is it sticks in here like this, and then these wrap around the forks of the bike and it holds the light on. I'll show you how to wire these wires up to the actual bike in a minute. These little rubber mounts just wrap around the pole. I'll show you a better example when I get to that side. And they just hook in back to themselves. So this little rubber bit right here opens up like that, and all it does is it just wraps around like this and reattaches to itself like that. It looks pretty good, but we might need to go up a little bit higher with it. I moved the headlight up a little bit higher. I think that looks better. Now I'm going to work on the wiring. This was the wiring mess that was on the bike when we got it. The game plan is to cut all these wires back so I can take and wire the wires from the headlight to this plug so it won't be directly connected to the bike, and I can unplug it and take the headlight off if I need to. So guys, what I've been doing here is I've been jumping the power of this plug to each individual part of the plug to figure out which one of these wires does what. So this one right here is the ground. So I ran all of the grounds to it all into one female connector and then connected it into a male for this ground right here. But then I had to figure out what each one of these did. So if I plug it to the top right and the bottom middle, you can see that all the lights are on. And so I had to jump, once I had the negative attached here, I had to jump to each one of the different plugs and figure out which one had power, and that would be my running light. The light is on. Then I jumped to the bottom left, which that was the blinker. As you can see, the blinker light is on, and it's also on the dash here. So I turn, and then that works for both sides. So as you can see, if I flip the blinker to the other side, the other blinker comes on. I basically continued doing that until I had all of the wires connected. Apparently the high beam and low beam switch is broken, So what I'm going to do, since I don't really want to buy one right now, I might hook it up later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my wire off of the low beam and then wire it to the high beam, but I'm going to put a switch in between where I can flick it on or off whenever I want. I'm either going to do that or run it where both high beam and low beam are on all the times. Okay, now I'm working on wiring up this tail light. So again, this is the negative, and then I use a female and a male to connect those. Then what I have to do is the same thing I had to do with the headlight, is I'm going to have to jump this plug. I'm going to have to figure out which wire does the turn signal, the brake, and the running light for the brake. Basically, you want to get the raw metal like this by using a stripper. I'll just re-strip this. So it starts off like this, where you can't see any of the raw metal. You go and figure out which gauge it is. Put it down towards the bottom. Well, not towards the bottom, but down like maybe an inch. And then what you do, you just pull it off, and it reveals the raw metal like that. Then what you do is you just take your female and you slide it on to the metal wire. Normally what you would do here is you would take a pair of crimpers and you'd crimp this down, but I can't find mine, so what I'm doing is I'm just taking some normal pliers here, putting it where the crimpers would have went, which is just right over where the wire is inside, and all you want to do is you just smash that down onto the wire, and then it stays connected. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump the blinker again, like that. And so then all I'll have to do is take my blinker. The negative's already connected, so then I'll just touch it to the power for the blinker to make sure it's the right one. See, it won't light up on any of the other wires. It'll only be the blinker light. I'm going to continue to do that until all of the wires are connected. I think I'm going to end up mounting the light right behind the seat like this, and then the wires will sit underneath the seat. I have the brake light hooked up now. Everything works. Brakes and turn signals. Electrical tape the headlight and the tail light to make the wires look a lot cleaner. I'm still going to have to run a switch, but that will probably be a different video because I have to run down to Advanced to get a switch, and then I still have to figure out where I want to mount it and everything. I might just end up running it straight to the low beams, so then it will they'll just be on all the time for now. I needed to extend this ground, so I'll end up soldering that wire. Okay guys, so what you want to do here is you want to spin the two wires together. Like that. As you take your soldering iron, you just put a little bit on the tip here. So what you want to do is you want to put your soldering iron on the bottom. We're not exactly at a good point because we usually want this to be level. So you can be underneath it with the soldering iron. But this is about as good as I'm going to get this one. So you take the soldering iron and it heats up the wire. And then you apply the solder to the opposite side. It will go into all those little crevices. Whereas if you're trying to put the solder on the top, soldering iron and the solder, it wouldn't work as well. And you guys can see it a little bit better now. Since it was at this weird angle, the solder isn't perfect, but it'll work for now. I've taken the headlight back off so I can clean up the wires now. I'm going to take electrical tape and tape up each one of these points individually. then I'm going to take and put them all inside of one of these. This is good for hiding wires because they can all slip inside of the actual piece. So what I've done is I've taped up all the male and female ends and any parts that were showing metal, like where I soldered earlier, and then I kind of folded them over each other to make them even, and then taped that all together so when I put it inside of that tube it will look normal. So that's the headlight done. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than what it did. Now that the headlight's hooked up, it looks a lot better. As you can see, even from the front, there's no wire showing. Now it's time to wire up the brake light. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with the headlight. I'm just going to tape up the male and female ends and then put them all inside of that tube and then run it underneath the seat. A little tip for when you're taping these up, it's good to, whenever you have a problem area like this, I wouldn't have had this if I would have just soldered it like I did the Ruckus, but since I use the female and male connectors, it has this big lump, so it won't fit inside the actual tube. So just tape around that so it will hold it, and then whenever you go and tape up the entire wire, it won't look that bad. It'll just have a tiny little lump, and that's it. I'm just going to check and make sure that the headlight and tail lights still work now that they're all wrapped up. Headlight works. Brakes work. Blinkers work. Both sides. Alright. Cool. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully in the next video the gas tank will be here. I also ordered some spray guns, sander, so hopefully if it's not in, we can go ahead and get ready to paint the bike, because there's not too much more we can do until we get the gas tank so we can see all the injectors and everything else is working properly. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks again guys for watching Project Bikerz.